Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexandra, and it has been forever okay. The first question is, how can I maintain my cool with a girl that I like a lot? I have a life. I just want to keep calm. I want to start by saying, feeling a little bit nervous around someone that you're interested in is totally normal, so I want to start there. However, overthinking everything that you're doing, what you're saying, how you're coming across, how you're being perceived, can make you way more nervous. And it sounds like maybe that's what's going on here. One of the best ways to stay calm is to remember that while you really like her, you have a full life that is meaningful to you outside of this connection. Knowing you'll be fine no matter what happens can really help you feel more grounded and bring you back down to earth a little bit and sort of calm you down. Instead of focusing on making her like you, try to focus on getting to know her and seeing if you are truly compatible, and just sort of let it flow naturally. This mindset shift can take off some of the pressure that lets you just be yourself, which is actually way more attractive anyway. One thing that I also want to mention is that you don't need to play it cool or act less interested in order for her to like you. Just be real about your interest, but avoid making it all about impressing her. I think when you're too focused on that, it can sometimes come across as forced and even a little bit self-conscious. So instead, just be curious about who she is and enjoy building that connection. Just take a deep breath, calm down. Staying relaxed not only makes the experience much better for you, but also allows her to feel more comfortable around you and with you. Okay, I'm going to try not to make every answer so long. So question number 2, will a woman find a man unattractive if he's been lonely most of his life and inexperienced? My answer for this one would be not necessarily. It often just depends on the woman and how she views connection and sort of growth within a relationship. I think it's rarely the mere fact of a man being lonely or inexperienced that would make a man unattractive to a woman. I think more so it comes down to how these aspects influence his mindset, maybe his confidence, his approach to dating and relationships, more so again than just the fact of being lonely or inexperienced. I will also say it is natural for someone who's inexperienced to feel a bit overwhelmed or even a little bit intimidated by dating, especially when society sometimes emphasizes experience as a prerequisite for connection. Try to remember that everyone begins somewhere, and a sincere desire to connect can be far more appealing than past experience. Rather than focusing on what you feel you lack, in this case, experience, try to approach dating with openness, curiosity, and a willingness to learn and grow. I think these things can be far more attractive anyway and help you be more successful with dating. I also want to mention that this is not something that you need to define yourself by or bring up on dates as if it's a shortcoming. If someone asks you, you can simply share that you've been focused on other priorities. There is no need to make it a focal point. I think regardless of your past experience, embracing the dating journey with a positive outlook can really make the world of a difference. And I think genuine interest and a focus on connecting matter much more than experience anyway, especially to a great woman who is looking for a great guy. Every girl is different, so just because a guy has experience with another girl doesn't mean that that's going to work for the current one, so just something to keep in mind. All right, the next question is the hottest clothing item a guy could wear in the fall and winter. Ooh, this is a tough question for me. It might be impossible for me to choose only one, so I'll give you a few. I would say sweaters, boots, wool overcoats, love all of those. I think for the fall and winter, really leaning into textures and adding some rich colors to your fall and winter wardrobe is a super easy way to make your outfits more dynamic. Layering would be another one as well. I actually have a video coming out next week about winter essentials for men, so stay tuned for that. I also did an updated fall video a couple of months ago that you might want to give a watch if you haven't already. Many of the items that I mentioned in that video will seamlessly transition into the winter, and I do that on purpose to make your life easier, so go watch that and then come back for my winter essentials video. Okay, the next question is, places to meet stable individuals. Well, first of all, I love the emphasis on stable. That is a crucial quality to look for, in my opinion. I would consider environments that naturally attract like-minded people who are going to align with your lifestyle, your values, and your priorities in life. Think of the places that you frequent for hobbies or interests, or just things that are important to you, whether it's a fitness class, a community event, a book club, volunteering. The list will go on depending on you and your interests and what is important to you. So think about that for yourself. I also think if you're not someone who typically enjoys something like the club scene, for example, and you only go with the hope of meeting someone, it's worth asking whether that setting is likely to attract a partner with whom you are truly compatible. My guess would be no, but I digress. I think stable, grounded individuals often frequent places where they can engage in interests or activities that they're passionate about, rather than spaces that just don't align with their usual or typical lifestyle. For example, if you're looking for someone with strong values, you could try a setting like a professional networking event, classes, or social gatherings centered around shared interests, as I mentioned earlier. Again, I think this will be pretty specific based on you and your interests and what is important to you. I think going into dating with an understanding of your values, your priorities, and what you're looking for in a significant other will be really helpful. I will also say if you go the social media or dating app route, I think it has become pretty easy to see lately who is stable and who is not. I have seen an unreal amount of unhinged content on TikTok, on Instagram, on people's stories. I'm sure the same rings true for dating apps, so it's getting easier and easier to weed people out. People are a lot more loud about what their values are, what their priorities are, and if you can just tell right away that you don't align with someone, don't waste your time. Okay, the next question is, dating on a budget. Thoughts? I think it's smart. Being mindful of a budget while dating is both practical and wise, in my opinion. Being intentional about your finances reflects incredible maturity and stability, qualities that are attractive to many people, especially great women. I do want to mention that I think there's a meaningful difference, though, between being financially responsible and appearing cheap. The former speaks to character, while the latter can give the impression of stinginess, which is generally less appealing to women if I'm just being completely honest with you. I have heard so many women say that they do not like when a man is incredibly cheap. And again, frugal and cheap are different. Financially responsible and cheap are different. So that is just something to keep in mind. There are countless ways to plan both memorable and enjoyable dates without spending a ton of money. Simple, thoughtful experiences can be far more meaningful than a lavish outing anyway. Just off the top of my head, a cozy coffee date, wandering through an art museum, taking a walk to enjoy something seasonal like holiday lights as we're coming up on Christmas. I think those are all fantastic date ideas and are often relatively affordable. I've shared some first date ideas in other videos. I actually, not too long ago, did a first date tier list from a woman's perspective, where I rank different first dates and give you sort of the best and the worst ones, in my opinion, so maybe that could be really helpful. I've done some others as well if you're looking for inspiration. For the person who asked this, or anyone who's watching, I want you to remember that a person who values you will appreciate the time and effort that you put into the date, not just the dollar amount that you spend. If someone you've just met expects extravagant spending, it might be a sign that they're less focused on connecting with you and more on the benefits that you can provide, and be a bit of a red flag. In all transparency, I think someone that you can build a healthy relationship with should respect your values, and there's no need to compromise your financial well-being to win someone over. I promise. Okay, the next question is, what is the most important characteristic for a lasting relationship? This is a great question. It is hard to pick just one thing, but in my personal experience, I would have to say good communication skills are at the top of my list. I think being able to effectively communicate will help you navigate conflicts. It will help you express your needs and your wants to each other, and also listen to each other's perspectives. A part of communication that I think so many people forget about is the listening part. And communication isn't just about handling issues or conflicts. I think it's just as important when things are going well. Sharing openly when things are going well during the good times will build trust. It will strengthen the bond that you have and sort of help keep you guys on the same page. Communication is not just for when things are going wrong. I think people waiting until things go wrong to communicate is often what causes the things to go wrong to begin with. If you are consistently communicating effectively, it helps mitigate so much conflict and headache later down the road within a relationship. Communication is sort of the foundation that everything else is going to rest on. It's how you grow together. It's how you support each other. It's how you keep your relationship healthy no matter what comes your way. At least with this question, something that I often have to remind myself is that your significant other cannot read your mind. And in my case, I remind myself my husband cannot read my mind. I have to be able to communicate effectively to him in order for him to understand my wants, my needs, where I'm at, and that has really helped my relationship a lot. So remember that your significant other is not a mind reader, and you have to communicate. Okay? The next question is, any tips for guys losing their hair? And then they're asking about tips for when it comes to hairstyles. Yeah. So this is something that I've touched on in previous videos that I've done about hair. I think I did a video about balding quite a long time ago. This is an incredibly common struggle among men. It's a comment, a DM, a question that I get a lot. So that's why I wanted to answer this one. My first piece of advice here would be keep your hair short. Shorter styles will reduce the contrast between the thick and thin areas of your hair, giving it an overall cleaner look. And it's going to draw less attention to those areas that are thinning. Long hair can really weigh your hair down and end up making it look even thinner. So if you're a guy who is losing your hair, I would really recommend keeping it short rather than growing it out super long. You could also add some texture with a bit of maybe matte clay or a paste. This can add volume as well, making your hair look a lot fuller. One thing I will say is make sure that you use the correct hair product for your specific hair type, your haircut, and the desired outcome. Using the wrong product can do the opposite. So really make sure that you understand all those things about your hair and choose a product accordingly. Another option would be shaving it. Now, I know this is not an easy decision to make. This is a very emotional experience for a lot of men. But I think embracing a shaved head can look very confident and powerful, in my opinion. I also think it looks incredibly masculine. I know that not every woman out there loves the shaved head look. But if you're someone who is experiencing significant thinning, I do think sometimes shaving it can actually look so much better. Now, the good news is there are also treatments that you can do to combat hair loss if that is something that you would be open to. Brian Johnson, the Don't Die guy, did a video about his experience with hair loss and shared everything that he's done to reverse it. His hair looks great now. He's totally reversed it. It looks awesome. More plates. More Dates also did this as well. He has a ton of content about it. So I would recommend doing your own research and find what is best for you specifically, and also what's going to fit into your budget. I've seen a lot of different treatments and procedures that can get pretty expensive, but the reason I mentioned people like Brian Johnson, More Plates, More Dates, I'm sure there's a ton of other guys who have posted content about it too. And the reason I mention them is because I think seeing their experience, watching their journey, can give you a little bit of hope and reassurance that maybe not all hope is lost for you, and there could potentially be a way for you to reverse your hair loss. There are a ton of different options out there depending on what your budget is, but I know there are things that work. So if you're into it and that's something that you'd be open to, do the research and report back and let me know if you find something that works for you, or if you're someone watching who has done this, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. All right, the next question is, you changed my life, advising me to get a humidifier. What else do you have in store? I just love this question, and I am so happy that I changed your life with a humidifier. A humidifier is a must during the cold months of the year when you have your heat on. It's going to help your skin and your breathing tremendously in the wintertime. I used to wake up with such a dry nose and throat because of having the heat on. It really dries out your airways. Getting a humidifier and adding some moisture back into your air will really help, and it will help your skin look a lot better too. So if you're someone watching who does not have a humidifier, you need one. I got one from Amazon. I think it's called Levoit. I have everything linked on my Amazon storefront that I use for my home. I have beauty things linked, men's fashion, some other gadgets. Things that I would recommend would be an air purifier. I have 2 cats, so this is an absolute must for my household. I actually have one that I keep in my bedroom at night, and then one that I keep out in my living area during the day. The one that's out in my living area is much bigger, but I got both again from Amazon. They're pretty affordable, nothing crazy, but they work very well. I notice a significant difference when I have it on versus when I don't. It just makes the air feel so much cleaner, and it keeps my cats from getting all sneezy and stuff too. Also, a steamer for your clothes, a tongue scraper for your oral health. I have been talking about tongue scrapers for years. I've been using one since high school. When I started using it in high school, I did not know any other person who was using one. And actually, up to the current day, I really don't know a ton of people who are using them either. I think people are just now starting to talk more about them online, or at least that's what I've experienced lately on social media. I've started to see some people and accounts talk about them, but I absolutely could not live without my tongue scraper. It helps so much with bad breath. If you're someone who has bad breath and you feel like you've tried everything, you're flossing, you're using mouthwash, but you're not scraping your tongue, scrape your tongue, and when you see what comes off of it, you will be appalled. Thank me later. Also, mouth tape to wear at night so that you're not being a mouth breather. I don't know if you guys are familiar with mouth breathing, but it can have a ton of negative effects on your health and your body, and even your face shape, so look into that if you're interested. I'm not going to go on and on about it here. I could do a video about it if you guys would want to see it, but there are a ton of experts who go far more in depth than I ever could, so I will leave it to them to do the job. I probably have more suggestions. Those are the things off the top of my head right now. Again, check out my Amazon storefront because I link a ton of great stuff on there that I personally love or my husband loves. I think you guys will find some gems on my Amazon storefront. I will also say before I end this question, an ice roller for your face feels divine in the mornings and helps with puffiness, so I'll leave it there. Check out my Amazon storefront. You will find many good things. All right, and the last question here. Some of the affordable watches that you recommend or Teddy recommends for everyday use. Just to give you guys a little bit of background information, if you're someone watching who is thinking, who the heck is Teddy? Teddy is my husband. He's one of the leading YouTube channels about watches. He has over 1 million subscribers, and he's also a watch retailer. A good amount of my followers over on Instagram has come from people who follow him, who have found me through him. People are always surprised and shocked when they find out that we're married. It's always a funny when worlds collide thing when someone has been watching Teddy and then they find out that I'm his wife, or they've been watching me and they find out that Teddy's my husband. So just to clear everything up, that is who Teddy is. But back to the question, affordable is a word that I try to avoid because it is completely subjective, so instead I'll just go for more of an entry-level, attainable type of route. Teddy would have a far more complete answer than I would ever be able to give you, but this is just what I've learned being closely associated with him and all of his watch knowledge, which I hear about all day, every day, most days, so I feel like I know a good amount. In terms of everyday use, I would really think about your lifestyle. It is really such a personal decision, but I would recommend going for something that's going to align with your everyday sort of lifestyle, something that's going to be versatile so you can get the most use out of it, and also something that is going to fit into your budget. I would look into brands like Tissot, Seiko, Hamilton, Casio. That's going to be mostly digital design if that's your thing. But I would say those are like the big four under $1,000. There are obviously others too from smaller brands and micro brands, but if you're going for your first watch, it might be helpful to get something a little bit more mainstream if that's something that you're into, so that if later on you decide that you want to sell it, there's going to be more of a market for it. Again, you don't have to take that advice. If you're into the micro brands, that's great too. There's a lot of really cool ones. But that would just be my top level sort of advice. Getting a little more specific, a few that I really like are the Seiko cocktail times. So the SRPB 43 and the SRPB 41. I actually own a ladies' cocktail time myself. It was my first watch that I ever bought myself. The cocktail times are a little bit more dressy though, so again, we really come down to your lifestyle. If you're someone who dresses up every day, that might be a perfect option for you. If you want a variety of options under $500, I would go for maybe the Seiko 5 collection. Another great option would be the Hamilton khaki field lineup. Hamilton famously made watches for the US military and consistently deliver some of the best value watches under $1,000. I also always love the Tissot PRX. This comes in a ton of different variations, but this is an integrated bracelet watch that has some sport upside as well. It can be dressed up or down, which I think is a really nice feature, especially if you're looking for a versatile, everyday sort of watch. So those would be a couple of my recommendations just off the top of my head. And obviously, I have to include a plug for my husband. If you need a watch, Teddy Baldessari is my top recommendation, obviously, and the best place to buy one. His YouTube channel is also a fantastic resource. He is so incredibly knowledgeable. In my opinion, he is just the best that there is. So go check him out. But all right, guys, that is all I have for my Q&A. It has been such a long time since I've done one. I figured that it was about time again. I think it's been about a year at this point, and I thought that 800,000 subscribers was a great milestone to do it at. Again, just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and liking. I appreciate it so much, and I'm so happy that you're here. If you liked this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to also follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well, and that's also how to participate in any future Q&As that I do, so be sure to go follow me over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.